Sorry about that. Welcome to another episode of the Never Lose a Deal podcast. This is the show to learn all that you can about creative financing when it comes to real estate. And that's why today I want to talk to you. If you see the title, I'm streaming here on YouTube, but I'll eventually be syndicating this on all the podcasting platforms as well. So on Spotify, you'll see the live video, but on the other podcasting platforms, Apple, iHeartRadio, you're only going to hear the audio. So the title of this episode is the $30 trillion lending market, financial leverage in real estate. And I thought this would be a very interesting topic to tune into, considering the current state of real estate. And that is why I think now it's time to have this question. I mean, have this conversation, because as I film this episode, we are currently the second day into a new year. This is 2025. And in the US, we will be embarking into a lot of new things going on. We got a new president that will be coming in January. And so there's a lot of turmoil in the air, depending on what you're listening to. And so I want to be the voice of reason to give some light at the end of the tunnel for my real estate investors. Because as I mentioned to you in two episodes before, I talked about the importance of locking in. And that is why I thought this episode would definitely be very on time with what is considering what's going on. So if you see me looking to the side, it's because I want to kind of talk about where I got that the statement of a $30 trillion lending market. And so, I'm from, I'm old school, and I come from the school of thought that you always seek sources and data. So one thing about me, I'm never going to just be speaking about things because it sounds like a great soundbite, or I heard someone in the online interwebs say it. But right now, I'm going to the Global Newswire, and uh, I came across an article where Growth and Trends talked about the $30 trillion lending market. And so for the real estate investor out there, I know for the past couple episodes I've been talking a lot about asset-based lending. I've been talking about, while now is the time. Although creative financing will always have a place when it comes to real estate. When we are in markets like now, where you have on the single family residential side, you have rates that are high, and in some markets the inventory is not as voluminous. Inventory is low. You have some uneasiness when it comes to, what's to come ahead. And so, I'm a big advocate of telling and sharing with people that understand the source of where you get information, because as I've mentioned to you in episodes before, when it comes to commercial lending, asset-based lending, anything that has to do with the investor side is totally different than what goes on the residential side. And so as I'm doing research and looking at, rates and trends and everything that's going on with the market, um, I can see why this article is talking about the growth trend of a $30 trillion um, lending market. Because when you look at the rates on the commercial side, when it comes to investor loans, when I talk about FHA, VA, or what have you, but just investor loans, um, They don't follow lenders who lend in the investor space, portfolio loans, DSCR, fix and flip. The list goes on and on. Of course, commercial, whether it's small, large, or what have you, they are not following the 30-year fix. So currently, right now, rates in the area of DSCR are in the sixes. They follow the 10-year treasury. So one may say, well, wow, Maria, how is that possible? How is it possible that on the residential single family side, rates are above 7? Because you can just do this research on your own. Do a Google search on fixed rates for a 30-year a mortgage, and you'll see that rates are at 7, a little bit above 7. But in the investor DSCR space, they're in the sixes, the low sixes. So lenders, and when I say lenders, I'm talking about those who back the money when it's being dispersed to investors. And a lot of times that they are hedge funds, and it's in the secondary market. Monies that come from the commercial side very rarely come from the primary market, which is, people will be familiar with the big banks, JP Morgan, Bank of America, what have you. It comes from the secondary market. So with saying that, there are going to be a lot of opportunities coming down the pipeline when it comes to investors having sources of capital to tap into to be able to invest in real estate. And so now more than ever, and I can't say this enough, is that if you are a real estate investor who does leverage financing when it comes to fix and flips, DSCR, any multifamilies, of course, commercial, small cap commercial, any large cap commercial. When it comes to those type of financing, getting access to capital for any of those types of real estate ventures, you're going to possibly need more than I just need a mortgage broker. And the reason why I say this is because this is the type of market where you want to be able to capitalize on creative financing. And many lenders, when it comes to the secondary market, I'm talking about the investor side, they are a lot of times open to that because, of course, it's not 100% financing on their side. So they are looking for you to put some skin in the game. And with saying that, with you putting some skin in the game, now more than ever, as an investor, you need to be creative. I know currently right now, without putting too much information because everything is not solidified, but currently going to, I'm talking to a real estate developer who develops not single families, but multi-family homes, two families, here in New Jersey. And what myself and my partner will be doing is we will be putting together, we presented a capital stack opportunity for that person. Really, it's an entity that they will be able to leverage different forms of capital on the debt side as well as the equity side to be able to help with the development of what the entity is working on. I'm being very scripted as I talk because nothing is solidified yet, so I do not want to share out too much information. But with saying that, um, I've told investors, even if you're not a developer, this developer has, they've purchased, a few lots, so they're going to be doing a very big expansion of what they're working on. But even for the investor who's doing fix and flips, or even if you're doing, you're buying multis or whatever, now more than ever, you want to have a power team in place to help you put together some type of financing package to give you a full 360 view of what it would look like for you to be able to get into the deal. And that's why I tell people it is a difference between, I tell people, you know, I'm not a just a broker, and I get it. Some people don't know the difference. The difference between a loan advisor and a broker. A broker just gets you a mortgage. And a lot of times real estate investors or professionals, they don't know that because they're thinking that I think I want somebody to advise me, because a lot of times they're not familiar with. Yes, you can have someone who can assist you putting together some type of capital stack that would allow you to leverage debt and equity financing. One may say, well, what does that look like? And so that is why you would work with an advisor. So with $30 trillion that is being deployed in the marketplace means that there is opportunity out there, ladies and gentlemen. You know, be careful of the information that you are hearing online, with the doom and gloom, because one thing that I'm going to be very uh, um, I'm going to be very uh, um, honest with you, is that, and I hate to say this, um there are going to be people, this wealth that is going to come to the marketplace. There are going to be individuals who are going to lose out on it. I say this from a standpoint of just from where me being an adult, and as a young adult, I've went through two or three recessions. So this is not my first. And one thing that I've noticed is that in every recession, even though they have not documented this as being a recession, there's a big boom that comes, right behind that recession. And you want to decide on what side of the fence do you want to be on. And so go to the sources. That's why I always say, um, I'm a big advocate of sources. Even when I tell my clients, I'm not just spitting information to make myself sound smart. I share the sources with individuals. And so going back to what I said, $30 trillion being deployed into the marketplace with lending, then that means that there is opportunities out there. And that's why I tell investors, lenders are lending. Lenders are lending, but the thing is that most investors don't understand that when you get to a certain place in your real estate investing journey, you're going to need more than just give me the one solution that's going to fix what I'm trying to do. And for the beginning investor, they just need one solution. Like, okay, what is the mortgage that I need to do, that I need to get to be able to, move forward with this investment. But as you move up towards the hierarchy and what you're doing in real estate, you're going to need more of a different approach. And so I'm a big advocate of, sharing with investors why capital stacking could be an avenue that one may consider looking at, and understand it looks different for every investor. So the components can be the same, but it's going to look different for every investor depending on what it is that they want to do. As I mentioned to you about the developer who was developing the the two family homes here in New Jersey. One thing that their concern was when, having a meeting with the organization, is that they wanted to lower the cost of the financing. And of course, I shared with them, the way that you lower the cost is that you do have to consider leveraging equity as part of it. Now, that is even the same, case for the one man real estate investor, or the maybe a partnership of investors. Whenever you want to lower, the cost of leveraging money, you're going to have to consider adding equity as part of that capital stack. And so for every investor, that is going to look different. So going back to the $30 trillion that is being deployed in the market, some of the growth numbers that I'm just going to kind of talk about, it says that talking about the commercial lending market, I mean, it has grown. It was 14.15 trillion in 2023, went up to 16.44 trillion in 2024, at a compounding annual growth rate of 16.2%. And so they believe that this growth was attributed to factors such as economic expansion, low interest rates, financial sector deregulations, increased consumer spending, and favorable credit conditions. And so going back to what I originally said, the commercial lending market doesn't follow the 30-year fix. They follow the 20-year treasury. So with that being said, the 20-year treasury, if you do your research, is at 4%. So that's why DSCR loans can be at 6. That's why I've told investors, you want to look at all aspects. Be very careful of people sharing with you cookie cutter approaches when it comes to what you want to do in investing, because I'm a big advocate of the smart investor knows. And when I say the smart investor, one who does have some experience, has been through some market cycles, and they understand their business buy box. They know what they buy, not being influenced by what other people are telling them. With that being said, interest rates don't matter if the goal of, say, the investor is cash flow. If cash flow is important and they know that, oh, if I buy this multifamily, I'm using a DSCR loan, although I have to put more skin in the game, because of course, DSCR, even though the underwriting is not as stringent as the investor who may want to consider FHA. But of course, as you become a seasoned investor, you phase out of FHA. It doesn't work. FHA is only for that investor who is new to real estate. That's if you're doing it legally. But of course, going back to the seasoned investor, the smart investor who has experience, have been through market cycles, have a portfolio of experience, then they know that, okay, their goal is to cash flow a certain amount of money. So if they want to cash flow a certain amount of money, and even if they get a DSCR loan that's in the sixes or maybe at the sevens, considering the underwriting of the lender, because remember, every DSCR lender is different. I can't stress that enough. Be careful of individuals who tell you it's the same all across the board. That is not the case. So with that being said, the investor knows that they are cash flowing. Interest rates don't matter because their goal is being uh, their goal is being met. So they get the best of both worlds. They are cash flowing the way that they want to based on their buy box. And if they have to pay a little more, meaning get a higher interest rate, doesn't really matter because they're getting what it is that they want with cash flow. So I make that statement to say, be very careful, because whenever, and I've said this in other videos, you can always tell the experience level of an investor when it comes to financing if the first thing they're saying is, what's the interest rate? And that already tells me, that already tells other lenders that you are a newbie, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you want to be honest if you are. um but for the experienced investor, um there are a lot of opportunities coming down the pipeline. And so it was good to see that, like I said, $30 trillion being deployed into the lending space. Another thing that the article pointed out is the expansion of small and medium enterprises. They have drove significant growth, um, and so a lot of this data has been documented. So now more than ever, um, and this is what I've told investors, you really want to know who is part of your power team. Who are the individuals that you can go to, who you can speak to, can assist you with really being able to help you execute what it is that you're trying to do when it comes to real estate, to take advantage of these opportunities that are coming down the pipeline. And so your power team, of course, is going to consist of a few people. Of course, your attorney, your accountant, the list goes on, real estate agent. If you are building, of course, your contractors, what have you. But also, don't forget your financing team, and that's like I said, someone like myself that can assist you with how to put that picture together, because most people don't realize that they are trying to seek a one solution for something that one solution can't fix. What do I mean by that? You're talking to a mortgage broker who can only offer one solution, when really you have a solution that needs to be solved by looking at a few things. And that's where, like I said, talking about, capital stacking, and being able to leverage different forms of capital to be able to help a real estate investor move forward and execute what it is that they are doing. So once again, this is Lorelia. Like I said, 2025, I think, is going to be a great opportunity for investors, especially with seeing reports like this, especially with seeing what rates are with the 10-year treasury. Following those, I tell every investor, that's the number that you need to be looking at. You should not be looking at the 30-year fix unless you maybe are a person who is in the FHA space, and that's what you do, because you have to be able to service those people, and that is the benchmarks that you're going to follow. But for the investors, leave this conversation with understanding that the 10-year treasury is your friend. That is what it is that you should be following. And so I am looking forward to 2025 being a good year. But here on the Never Lose a Deal podcast, I got a lot of great things coming down the pipeline. Don't want to share them now, want them to be a surprise, but definitely going to be doing some great things. But as always, if you have a loan scenario that you want to discuss and you want to talk about, don't forget, you can go to the never lose a deal dot neverloseadeal.com. I always forget. Um, I always forget my website, www.neverloseadeal.com. But if you want to learn more about the podcast, go to www.neverloseadealpodcast.com. So until the next time, if my screen went out, I had a phone call that came in and I forgot to put it in airport. air, what is the airplane mode? I forget. But anyway, this is Lorelia, looking to share more information with you. Until the next time, bye bye.